Alright, I'm going to give a demonstration on how I roll a cigarette. I was watching another video about cigarette rolling on Backy Town, and it's not how I do it. And this is. So this is Daughters and Ryan Ryback I've got in my pouch here. And the first part, first important key, is to get the tobacco roughly in the shape you're going to ultimately want it to be in. So, as you can see here, I have the quantity tapering because I roll in the shape of a cone, which has several advantages I will get to later. So without squashing the tobacco too much, just gently roll it into position like so, giving it every chance to remain fluffy, but make sure it's all in the proper shape. And you may want to try to push some away from the back here. A lot of people will pull or bite the end off because it may interfere with the smoking. So then, once you've got it roughly all set up, see, you lick it. And this is the most difficult part, the tuck. With a cone, it's easier because you just get the tuck in one spot and then just turn it. And voila. Now I'm going to get into how do you roll a tobacco that has been pressed and steamed, like a flake or a plug or something like that. So what I do is I start out with a base amount of a fine cut shag, and then I'll just take this cake here and break it up pretty fine, and then put it in with the rest of my tobacco. Mix it up a little bit. I do this all day long. This is my usual blend, the Ryback and this 10 to midnight from pipesandscigars.com. I find that the large amount of latakia in the 10 to midnight and all the steaming and pressing they do really creates a smooth tobacco, but you can't just roll a cigarette out of this. I don't know, it's kind of tough to keep lit in a pipe also. So then I just kind of stir it up a little bit once again, get my shape ready. And here's the roll. Isn't that elegant? Now the cone has one major advantage over a symmetrical cigarette, and that is, well, two major advantages. One being that as you get down to the end, I mean, you can't smoke this. You know, when you get to the bottom, you end up throwing it away. You waste less tobacco this way. Also, the smaller end prevents as much tobacco from getting into your mouth. Now, obviously, this is not a concern if you roll a filter in. And on the point of filters, the previous video, which I saw in Backy Town, which describes how to roll a cigarette, he used a filter, and he just kind of rested it in the paper, which is not the best way to do it. You can lick a little bit of the filter and it will stick to the paper, so you don't have to worry about holding it. He was placing the rolling paper in on the package to use it as a tray or something like that. The only tray you need is the paper itself. You know, they come naturally creased, and I crease them again, you know, for my own purposes. for making a cone. Now I suppose I will demonstrate on how to do this, or how I do this with rope. This was a G&H. This was a Gaywith and Hogarth. I think this was the Brown Irish. So what I'm going to do is put a little of this tobacco just in the end of the paper. Right there. And then I'll load it up with this stuff. If you have this, you see, it's hard to cut this kind of rope very fine. You can see this is a very coarse cut, and if you have that at the end of the paper, it'll be a mess. It'll come out and get soaking wet and won't burn. So I put some other kind of tobacco at the end. Now this is, the wider the cut, the harder it is to get it to keep, stay in shape. But I got it there. I did that pretty quickly and pretty well. You see, now I've been doing this for 10 or 11 years, and sometimes I do that too, pack it down if I'm going to take it somewhere, so all the tobacco doesn't fall out. And so I've been doing this for a long time, and I can do this while I'm walking or driving on the highway at night or anything like that. Took a little practice, but now I can do it in my sleep. Now another thing that I thought I'd also demonstrate while I'm here doing this is how to cut up a rope for smoking. This is a really good example. This is the Gaywith and Hogarth black. Oh wait, no, this is the Samuel Gaywith black rope XX. I don't know if it was squished in shipping or what, but it's a lot. You can see how it's kind of been squished flat. This makes it really easy to cut. So what I'm using here is just a kitchen knife, but this is a razor sharp Japanese knife that I keep sharp enough to shave with. So I'm going to just you notice it doesn't leave, I don't know if you can see, it doesn't leave much of a residue with this really dark rope, but the Brown Irish definitely does leave like a goopy tar on the tip of the blade. So now that I have it all sliced up, you do what they call rubbing it out. And essentially what you do is you just kind of unwind it, rub it together, pull it apart. Whenever you feel some which is still hard, you give that more attention. So you just kind of knead it and pick at it. You can spend a lot of time doing this, separating every little strand like that. I find that the end product is not much more smokable when you do that. And more or less, that's it. That is how to roll, and how to roll with an unconventional kind of tobacco.